Hi, welcome back. Now that we've learned about the Scrum Master role and the Product Owner role in depth, we will use this video to explore the role of the developers. In Scrum, the developers or the development team are characterized by two adjectives, one being self-managed and the other cross-functional. In this video, we will take a look at what both of these terms mean, and we'll start with self-management. There are many definitions of self-management. One of the better ones comes from Richard Hackman, who was a researcher at Harvard Business School for team development and team performance. And his definition includes that a self-managed team is able to manage and monitor their own work. Now, what does that mean? If we look at managing your own work, it means defining what your work is about. It also means determining how much work you can do in a certain period of time, and it also means to plan your work accordingly. Monitoring your work includes being transparent on how your work looks like and ultimately being able to also communicate the progression of your work to your most important or relevant stakeholders. Now, if we look at a self-managed Scrum team, it does not mean that they take all decisions by themselves. Self-management usually happens within certain boundaries. Now in Scrum, those boundaries start with the product goal or product vision. For instance, at MAN, it was clear that the developers were supposed to build a new generation city truck. It was not their decision to decide whether they build a truck, whether they build a motorbike, or whether they build a social media platform, to go very extreme. So that decision of what to build in general was already taken. It was also quite clear what those most important value propositions of the truck should be. Those were decisions taken by the product owner and not by the developers. Of course, the developers could provide input and feedback, but ultimately the decision about what we build would be a product owner/stakeholder decision. The area within which developers have a lot of autonomy and decision-making authority is how we build those things. And now you remember the Stacy diagram where we distinguish between the what uncertainty and the how uncertainty? The what uncertainty axis is the product owner axis. The how uncertainty axis is the developer/Scrum Master axis, where the Scrum Master deals with the methodology and the process and how we collaborate, whereas the developers deal with everything with regards to the actual execution, to some extent the technologies that we use and how we actually build those things. So now we learned what self-management is all about and what self-management is not, which means taking all the decisions by yourself, which would actually result in anarchy. Now let's look at the second characteristic of great Scrum teams, the cross-functionality. First and foremost, cross-functionality means that the team has all the capabilities in place in order to develop and/or create a product end-to-end. In the case of software development, this would mean that you have everybody in the team, from the person that writes the requirements, supporting the product owner, to the person that writes the code, to the person that actually tests the software, and the people that can put the code into production and maintain it, make it usable for our users. Now, when you're building a truck, the people that you would want to have as part of your cross-functional development team would bring different capabilities to the table. Those would be different types of engineers, like mechanical engineers, acoustics engineers, electrical engineers, etc. If you're crafting a contract for two companies to merge, the people in your development team would have to bring a completely different skill set to the table. You would probably have a few lawyers, you would probably have a few accountants, you'd probably have a few other types of people in your team if the contract is the product that you're trying to build. Cross-functionality is something that we can look at holistically, and we should definitely do that. We would want the whole team to be capable to deliver the product end-to-end. But once you zoom in, you realize that it is tremendously beneficial to also have cross-functionality, or how we refer to it as T-shaped skill profiles on an individual level. Why? Because in those cases, the team or individual members could support each other in a much better capacity. But this is a topic for another point in time, or you can find it in one of our other videos in our other courses. It is still important to have it in the back of your head that cross-functionality happens both on the team level and on the individual level. To summarize, great development teams have two characteristics. Number one, they're self-managed, and we explored that self-management does not mean that you get decision-making authority in terms of everything. Self-management happens within certain constraints. The second characteristic is cross-functionality, which first and foremost means having the ability to deliver a product end to end. Now that we've looked at the Scrum Master, the product owner, and the developer in depth, we will have also a look at the stakeholders in Scrum, although the Scrum Guide does not really describe them. See you in our next video.